I don't know about you, but this year has been anything but normal. And as 2024 comes to a close, I can hear a collective sigh. This episode is scheduled to air the week of what is Christmas and Hanukkah, and so many people are out of office. And so what I thought I'd do would be to come on and just talk about what we've seen this year and what we're looking at going into 2025. Our early episodes this year of season 3 was episode 112. It was called How the Poly Crisis is Sparking Reinvention. And it addresses what we're seeing in the corporate world: healthcare, pharmaceuticals, education, religion, the economy, government, almost everywhere we look. The structures that were put into place to protect us, to keep us safe, they're all breaking down. So stable is not a word I would use for 2024. It was a hard year for many people as they started to search for answers. For many, the rule book we were given started to change. For instance, we're told that if you work hard, go above and beyond, you will have job security. But what many people found is that when profits are what is important, that people become a decision on a spreadsheet, just a line on a spreadsheet. There was a lot of talk about AI, and with many of us determining what does that mean for us moving forward? How do we use it in our business and our lives? I'm in a community where the thought of AI was a pretty strong wake-up call that how they do business was going to have to change. But change is necessary. Change is evident, and it's how we respond to change that shows our character and sets us up for how we will follow success. For an instance, one of the things I saw one of my colleagues last week was sharing that over 3 weeks, they changed their AI platform 4 times just to be on the cutting edge of what AI had possibilities to do. And before you know it, summer was here. And so we started to see how things settled out and how business was really going to be. The online content started getting noisier with a lot of the same type of approach. Experts started spouting their facts, but you really couldn't tell the experts of what were their opinions and what was AI. Buyers became more skeptical as they began to lose trust in the discrepancy between what they were promised and what was delivered. Those high-pressure sales, the bro marketing gurus, the people that communicate to you that you can have a 7-figure business by working 3 days a week if you only start an online course. The funnels and formulas and the emails that no longer worked. With the noise getting louder, people shut down. I started seeing disenchantment with how people network. And it's very easy when we look at these traditional networking groups. You join a group, you attend, you go back the next week, you see the same people, and you do it all again. So people are becoming a little bit tired of those types of things. And as I was looking at where I wanted to network as I move into my future, I visited several networking groups, but it didn't take long before I saw the intent. The people were talking to the people in the room as their prospects instead of as part of their sales team. So as we're figuring this all out, our attention turned to the media circus. The media circus of summer 2024 was a lot about the political presidential election. We were in unprecedented times, and I'm not going to get political, but what we had was a former president with a legal cloud over his head and an assassination attempt. We had a current president who decided to step down in order to give his party a better chance for a victory. We had a sitting vice president who was a female who ran a much different type of campaign. So all of those politics, all of the circus, all of the sidebar distractions that we had really got in the way of what we had hoped for in 2024. It seemed like the year flew by, and what I've seen is people at this point of the year are just hanging on, grasping for air, a run to the finish line. In the U.S., we had a late Thanksgiving, which set us up for a very short time period between Thanksgiving and what we have as the end-of-year holidays. So what I saw were just so many people asking to reschedule meetings. Could we put this off to the first part of the year? There was one day, I think I had 5 meetings and 4 of them asked to do that. So we're feeling the pressure. We're feeling, I'm just done. And so that's what happens when it gets to this time of the year. We're just trying to pack it up so we can find a chance to breathe. It's this time of the year that we often reflect on what went well, what didn't, and what we want to change. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see I recently shared a series of posts of 5 things I was going to do for 2025. So I'll put those links in the show notes, but I also traditionally at this time of year also talk about what is my one word for the year moving forward. What will be my filter year? And I'm not going to use this platform right now to talk about that. But if you want to learn about the power of having one word for the year, go back to episode 51 called One Word Can Change Your Life. Again, I'll put links in the show notes. So I'd like to encourage you to consider as we go into 2025, what are some things you need to be paying attention to? Now, you can make your own list, but I'm going to share mine here. And when we look backwards, we can see our progress, but we're not going backwards. We're moving forward. And what is it that you're going to do about it? So here are some lessons I'm taking into 2025. The first one is I'm committed to building the right type of relationships. And what that means is I'm going to need to examine everything in my world, both personal and professional. So what no longer fits in helping me to get to my goal line, I'm really going to take a very close look. This includes networking groups, memberships, certifications I'm part of, even software subscriptions, those recurring charges on your credit card. Do I really need all of those? What are the offers I created maybe 2 or 3 years ago that really aren't relevant to my audience any longer? Where do I spend my time, and is it quality time? And where is it I need to be spending more? I'm going to look at how I nourish my mind, my body, and my spirit. And what is it that drains the life out of me? This self-awareness, this examination will leave no stone unturned. And it's all about being in the present, to really examine what am I doing? And also, how does it feel in my body? So yes, it is time for a refresh to clear out the clutter. And improving relationships also means improving relationships with myself. What do I need to do in order to grow and have a better relationship with myself? Because if you've been around here any time at all, you know I believe that personal development is professional development. The second lesson I'm taking into 2025 is, what will my future self thank me for? There are so many things I'm experiencing now as far as how it can lead me to success, and they wouldn't have been in place had I not done something in a prior time. So my future self is thanking my prior self for that. And what are the things I've been meaning to do that I never get done? So this is one of the things my future self will thank me for. And I found that when I make the quantum leaps in either my personal life or my business, there are 2 things that are in common. One is I make the decision to do something. I put it on the calendar. When it's on my calendar, it's going to get done. I run by my calendar. That is my directive for the day and the week and even the year ahead. So first, I put it on my calendar. The second thing is whatever I choose to do, I make it a consistent practice. And so I want to make sure it's something that is manageable, something that is not so big that I won't do it, but what is something that I can do consistently and keep my focus on it without getting distracted of what will people think, or I don't like how this feels, or I don't feel like doing it. So those 2 things are things that are guardrails and filters that I use about looking at what are things I can do to make those quantum leaps. So some things I'm doing in 2025, things that my future self will thank me for. I've got all kinds of testimonials. I have written ones. I have people who have said, I'd love to give you some positive feedback. And so what I'm going to do is capture all those testimonials. It's time to get them in my LinkedIn recommendations. It's time to get them on my website and in my social media. It's time to get them on my Google reviews. And perhaps you'd think of doing the same. The second thing I'm going to do that I've been meaning to do is this is episode 154 of the podcast. So I have 154 episodes of things that I could make smaller video clips. I've got the software. I've got the person to do it. I just haven't got it done. So that'll be another priority for this year. And also setting up how I do my content. There's a lot of time that can be wasted on how you create content, whether you batch content or you do it one at a time when the urge strikes you. But there's a lot of information I have to pull from that people could find value in and have found value in before. So how could I set this up in a system that my future self will thank me for? The third lesson I'm taking into 2025 is how we interact is going to have to change. If you're familiar with Mark Schaefer, he wrote the book Marketing Rebellion. He's famous for a saying that the most human company wins. This means we need to have our messaging focused on our future prospect, on the pain that they're experiencing. We need to do more listening and less talking. We need to have more white space and more room to breathe. We want to make sure that we share our content in a very relatable and human way without manipulating other people. We want to connect with people by building relationships. That means being on video, so our presence can come through the video so people can get to learn more what you're like. And this really has led to how I'm looking at expanding my network for 2025. That presence that we have on video. If you listen to the episode a few weeks ago with Jeff Bitton, he has a platform called Pitch 59, and I'll be incorporating that into my networking process. Because what it does, these strategic referral partnerships that I'm building, whether they're current clients, former clients, or people who are aware of my work, when they get ready to introduce me to someone, all they have to do is pass on this contact information because it has me delivering the message of what I do rather than relying on somebody else to do it for me. The conversations I'm going to have are going to be about converting people to the next stage of the relationship. And I've got a keynote I do on networking that really talks about when you move from the first stage where you meet people to the pivotal point where you sit down and have a conversation with them. And many times it's about sharing a beverage, your own beverage, but having a beverage together, and also about sharing food, okay? Having a time to sit down. That's the time where something happens in the relationship, where there's a safe space to have those conversations. But really, how can I continue to build those networks and those relationships? And what can I do to help you connect to what you need? The fourth lesson I'm taking into 2025 are building systems that work for me. Now, what happens is we are told how we're to operate our business, how we're to run our lives. But really, when you think about it, you know how you work through the day. Maybe you're a morning person when you get up and you get a lot done. Maybe there's some things where you're a night person, you're a night owl, where you find that there's more energy that comes in there. But being really self-aware of how you work is really important. I know I thrive on structure, on clarity, on frameworks. And one of the things I need is all of these ideas in my head. I have to have a place for them to land. So that's where I use a mind map, or I really just have a sheet of paper. I divide into sections with what is it I'm doing at certain days of the week? What do I need to do for client work? How do I prep? It changes up on how I segment it. But when it's out of my head, I have space to think. That means building a plan and working a plan. And what do I do when I get off track? How do I find my way back on? Also knowing what are the things that light you up in the morning. Whether you have a morning gratitude practice, you meditate, maybe you do a cold plunge, maybe you don't take your first appointment until 10 a.m. but knowing what are the systems that ignite you to get you excited for your day so you show up as your best self. All of this to say is knowing who you are, increasing that self-awareness is really suited for how you show up in different situations. I've just recently launched a beta program called Next Steps to the New You. And what it is, it's 75 days to develop a healthy habit to get you jump-started to finish out your year. But it's really, how do you manifest that next level life? How do you reach your future self? And it's all by starting with one day at a time. There is a daily wisdom that we've built into the curriculum. There is an action to take, and there is a reflection of how you are processing it, what you're thinking about. And so that system we're building in, that one daily prompt, is going to be something that's going to help us to advance to the next level. The other thing I've learned in the past year is you only rise to the ability of where you think you are worth. And you can't show up big with a small sense of self. So understanding who that person really is beyond personality test. And that's where I found human design to be an enormous benefit. It helps you navigate your way around imposter syndrome. It helps you build the confidence that's holding you back. It helps you find the bravery to write your own story. And you become protective of what you need to be able to move forward in the way you're going to find success and how you defined it. The next lesson I'm going to take into 2025 is getting clear on what I really want. One thing that's really interesting when I ask clients what they want, you can see them pause and almost the gears go through the head of, what am I supposed to want? What is it that's next on my list that I'm supposed to want? What do people tell me I should want as I write this story? And we're told that the way to find success is usually to do more, get more done, productivity, earn more money, bring more people into your business. You want to scale your business. We're told that when we live a successful life, when we retire, we'll have more time to get to do what we want to do. We're told to want more, but is it we really want something else? What if we looked at more as more space, more room for growth, more living into your potential? That's coming back to be who you are. And many times that requires that we peel off the layers of who others tell us we're supposed to be. That's one of the reasons I started the So Much More newsletter. And I don't follow the advice of writing it every week just for the sake of writing it every week. No, I write an email to my list when I find something valuable to say, something I want to share with them, because I know their time is precious and I respect their time. And when I send an email, I really hope that they open it when they find that value. We've been told that the way to eat the elephant is to take one bite at a time. And my friend Kent Murawski recently added, but what happens if we're already full? So my question to you is, what do you need to get rid of to have margin in your life? What is it that you need so you can live a life of so much more? What is it that you have to put in place so you don't burn out or rust out? And how can we find that happiness and fulfillment? So what are you thinking about for 2025? And I invite you over these next few weeks to take a look back to see how far you've come. Decide what you want your future life to look like. Put a plan in place and start doing one of those things consistently. Put it on the calendar and commit to doing it so your future self will thank you for it. So what is your list? Feel free to borrow mine or create one of your own. I'd love to hear what you come up with. And feel free to grab my link to the Reimagine You quiz to see what's calling you in to shift at how you look at your life. So all those things I've mentioned today, all the resources, check out the link in the show notes and you'll be able to find those very, very easily. So I'd like to ask you to join me next week for the final episode of season 3. We're going to have an interview with a company leader who is all about how we use purpose as a compass and how we use it to pay it backwards. If you're listening to this in real time, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. I hope you take time to pause and reflect at all of the things that you have to be grateful for that are just right in front of you. So until next week, go chase that passion. It will start to reveal that purpose, and it will lead you on the path to discover your legendary self. Thank you for joining me here in Season 3 of Your Passion, Purpose, and Personal Brand.